All right, welcome back to the Nditha Mindset Show with me, Irene Pato. And in this week's show, we're talking about embracing change quickly. And my guest today is Rosemary Chitela. She is the former operations manager at Press Corporation, and she's sharing her story of how she had to transition and pivot in her own life. And she is now the founder of the Premier Foods Limited, and we are having a great conversation, a lot of value, and I'm sure that she'll be joining us back shortly and we'll pick up the conversation. Hello Victoria, thank you that you're on the other side of this. I hope that you're catching value from our discussion. If you've got any comments, you've got any additions you want to make, you want to make comments, you can comment, and we'd love to hear from you. All right, would love to hear from you. It's so good to have you on the other side. And yeah, hi Fanny, how are you doing? I hope that you're doing well. And we're about to get back into the show with Rosemary Chitela, and so far so good. We're talking about how to handle change and how to handle change very quickly. Hi Teresa, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Hello everyone. I hope that you're having a good Friday afternoon, and that this show is just a dose of inspiration. I think that, as I was saying on top of the show, that our stories are powerful and we must tell our stories, because when we tell our stories, we empower the next person and we empower the collective. We move forward objectively, and we move forward and objectively, and also we know that we're not alone in whatever it is that we're going through. We know that we're not the only ones that are walking that journey, but that there are other people that have walked that journey and have come out on the other side victorious. And when we know that, it's always powerful. It gives you that release of energy to go like, you know what, I can certainly do this. Like, I can get on the other side of whatever it is that I'm going through. And I think that the conversation that we're having today is important, because change is indeed the only constant. And it's like you get to be naive if you feel like things are always going to be the way they are now, right? Some of us, we are in corporate jobs, and we are living as if we'll never leave. We're living as if this is like, it's gonna be the way it is for forever. But what if that is not the case for you, right? What if change can come on your doorstep when you least expect it? What are you doing about that? What is your strategy about that? What is your plan around that? Okay, what is it that you're doing? Like, what are the seeds that you're planting at this very moment to prepare yourself for that particular time when it comes, if it comes for you? I'm not saying it is coming right now, but what if it's coming? So you just want to be better prepared for change, and like to really have a plan in place so that you are not caught off guard, right? And I can't wait for Rose to come back on here. Because this conversation is needed right now, and I can't wait to continue this fruitful conversation that we're having right now. I think she'll be joining us quickly. But so far, we have heard that she held a number of senior positions at Press Corporation, and she's had to pivot. She's so immersed in her farming business, and not just doing it on a small scale, but I love the way she's embraced the distributorship aspect of things. That she's distributing her products through so many outlets. I think there's some people on the other side that maybe have a farm, or they're doing this similar, they're doing something similar, but they're just selling in their own neighborhood. So you can actually pick up a lesson from her and go like, okay, she's been in this thing for like the past 7 months, less than a year, but she's already doing distributorship, like using outlets that so many people go to, right? So how can you leverage that? How can you also, think bigger than what you've been doing right now, right? How can you think bigger to embrace that element, to go like, okay, what if I could do what I'm doing on a larger scale, and I can have my produce being, you know, sold in outlets like Ekaya or in outlets like ShopRite or Chipiko. You know, like when you start to think like that, you will see that you will move yourself forward faster. You will, you know, you will grow your business as well. So you want to be looking at, as we're talking to these people that I'm featuring, as we are discussing the issues that we're talking about, you want to start to see yourself in their stories. You want to start to see the silver lining in their stories, to go like, how can I apply that lesson in my own life right now? What can I do better? What can I improve? You know, things like that. So let me see if she's coming on here. Okay, yeah, she will be joining us shortly. Thank you guys for being on the other side. If you've got a question or a comment, please do make the comment. I'd love to, you know, I'd love for you to chime in, and so that we talk about what is coming up for you. So far with what we've discussed, I'm wondering what are the things that are standing out for you, and how is, you know, how is this reflected in your own life, right? Yeah. Your comments are so welcome. Your comments are so welcome. All right. Thank you for being on the other side. I see you guys. I see you guys. Give me an emoji. Give me your favorite emoji so that I know that you're there. Give me your favorite emoji. But otherwise, oh my gosh, let's be prepared. Let's be better prepared for change. Yeah, change is the only constant. We are all going through change. We are all going through change. We are all pivoting in one way or another. And what matters is our perspective, our perception of how we handle that change. It's like you can go through the same thing, but two people can handle the same event in a very different way, depending on their perception, depending on how they see things, depending on their mindset, you know. So you want to, that's why these issues that we talk about, mindset, are so important, because when you've got a positive mindset, you're able to look at change from a positive perspective. You're able to see the silver lining in the change, because sometimes what happens is that change has to be forced on us, and once it's forced on us, we embrace it, we're able to meet a bigger version of ourselves. We're able to meet somebody that we didn't know that we are. We're able to do things that we didn't think we could do. We're able to handle emotions that we didn't think we could be able to handle, because we have looked at change from a positive perspective. So you want to really be in that space. If you're going through a change that has been forced upon you, you want to embrace it and go like, okay, how is this change happening for me? Because that's the other thing. You want to start to pivot from looking at things as though they're happening to you, and start looking at them from the perspective of the fact that they're happening for you. That this whole change that has come into your life, for example, maybe it has come for a purpose. It's come for a reason. It's come so that you can really maybe start the business that you've always wanted to start, or you can jump into that project that you always wanted to jump in, but you never had the time to do it, you know. You never had the time to give it, you know. So you want to start to look at it, go like, okay, this change has come, it's here. How am I handling it? How am I going to handle it? And start to look at it from a very positive perspective. So let me just check in with Rose. I don't see her here. Oh, and whilst we're there, let me just tell you a story. At some point I met a girl, and she was working for one of these banks, and there was a change at the bank, you know, at the institution. And when the change was brewing, you know how the corporate environment is, you're able, like Rose was talking about how they knew that change was coming, but then in her case, she didn't think the change was going to affect her at all, until one day her boss called her, and the boss was like, you know what, you have been negatively impacted by the change that is happening, and your job is no longer going to be needed. So she was like, you know what, I was just so puzzled. I was like, okay, fine. I heard what he said, and I walked out of that office, and I went on my desk and I packed everything. And then she was like, okay, she called her husband and told him that, you know what, I've just been told this news, but I'm fine. So the husband was like, no, but should I come pick you up and everything? She's like, no, don't come pick me up. I'm fine. And this was like around 10 in the morning. And she was like, okay, so I really know what happened. I was like, okay, I'm going to go home. And for some reason, I think I was just so confused. I was just going around town and until like 5. And I was like, I couldn't find my way home. That is how big that news hit her, you know. Why? Because she was not prepared for it, because she did not think that this change was going to affect her at all. And then all of a sudden the change affected her, you know. And she was like, you know, I stayed in my house for like 2 weeks, like of not doing anything. She was like, I stayed home for 2 weeks, I couldn't do anything. And then she was like, no, but God, I can do this. Like, I need to get myself together. And in the end, she started a business, and she started retailing a retail business. And at that time, she was thriving, the time that I met her. But her ordeal was like, you know, the change hit her so hard in the beginning. But then she was able to pick herself up and get back on the bandwagon, and she was doing very well at that particular time. And she was like, Irene, I didn't see this, but I think it was a blessing in disguise. I'd never thought that I would do a business like I'm doing now, but I'm doing it, and you know, things are great now and all those things. But the thing is, we're talking about change. It can come at any time. It can really come at any time. And yeah, be ready for it, right? Be ready for it. Okay, so Rose is coming. Hello.
Hi,
Welcome back.
thank you. So you had
Okay,
asked
I'll just
me
give them.
what I would tell someone who's going through a similar situation. I think I would want
Yes.
to talk not only to people that are going through a similar situation, but also to people whose uh, work, business are okay. Someone once told me that fortune favors the prepared firm or the prepared person. So if you're going through a similar situation, I would say to you that dust yourself up, move on, start doing something. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Start with where you are. Start doing whatever you can do it wherever you are. If you're in employment and everything is working, you need to also start doing something, because when opportunities come, they'll only find those that are prepared for those opportunities. But if you're not prepared, then you will not be able to get those opportunities. And also look around amongst your friends to see who might need your support. Sometimes we think that giving somebody support is monetary support, but sometimes just being there for people can make a whole lot of a difference in their lives.
Very, very good, valuable advice there. And I think that, you know, it's needed right now, because change, like you said, change is indeed the only constant. And I think we were talking earlier, and we were talking about how the different phases of, you know, different phases that somebody who has lost a job goes through. Do you mind just jumping into what that looks like?
Um, I think, as I said, that I didn't really have time to experience everything, but still, you go through a phase of denial, thinking this cannot happen to me, and that phase even starts like when you're being told we're going to have a restructuring. Everybody is thinking it's going to happen to the next person and not to me. But you need to start preparing yourself for that. You need to start preparing yourself to say, if it happens to me, what am I going to do? you need to start preparing yourself in terms of your financial stand. You know, most of us, when we're working, we have loans, we've got obligations that we've committed to, and then very few of us are saving money. But if you start saving now, preparing for any eventuality that might come into your life, when something like this happens to you, then you know that you've got a cushion, somewhere to fall back on. But if you have no savings, then you don't even know where you're going to start from. Everything now becomes a big issue for you. Even the smallest things like putting food on your table, making sure that your kids are still going to school becomes a problem. So the first is denial. You're in denial. You're saying, no, this cannot happen to me. Then when reality hits you, that's when the depression comes in. When the depression comes in, some people will go down a rabbit hole and they will not be able to put themselves out of it. But other people will be able to lift themselves up and then move on. For some people in depression, they will not even be able to apply for new jobs, so making their situation even worse. But for others, they will be able to apply for jobs and then find something to do. But so then it's like you go into denial, you go into depression. After depression, you either go worse into depression or you lift yourself up and you start again. But what is important is to keep on moving. Don't stand still. Don't be a person who sleeps the whole day just because you're at home. Make sure you're still waking up in the morning. And that's something that my husband really made sure that I'm doing. So he stopped dropping the kids off in the morning at school. I picked up dropping the kids off to school in the morning. So I had to make sure that I'm awake in the morning so that I go drop the kids. Now, when you come back, you're not going to crawl back into bed. You start doing other things. And then also look for opportunities where you are. There might be small opportunities, but they'll keep you busy. I also sell legumes, rice, beans, groundnuts, popcorn. And I looked around and I said, there's nobody doing this in my community. So I started selling through our WhatsApp group, and then I put a little bench outside my house where people that are passing by also buy, and it keeps me busy. So every day, if you come to my house, you find there are ladies that are picking, grading the beans and grading the rice, and making sure we've packaged the rice, making sure we're putting our orders in, where we look at the orders for the day. So you start with where you are. Most of the times we want to start with something big, but when something like this happens to you, and you know that you're living in a place where people pass by, start where you are.
So good. So good. And talking about Premier Foods, why the local chickens aspect? Why did you go that route?
Okay. As I said, that we started as a hobby. We were having problems to find organically grown food for our home. So that's when we started growing some of the things for ourselves. As we started growing them, then our friends were asking us for local chicken. They were asking us for organically grown bananas, and then we said, let's scale it up. That's how we started scaling it up. So we've gone this route because we know that there are very few products on the market. For instance, if today you had a wedding and you wanted 50 local chickens dressed, who are you going to talk to? At the moment, there was nobody that you would just go and say, I want 50 dressed local chickens. But now people know that they can come to me and ask me for even 100, even 200 local chickens. I'll be able to provide dressed and deliver to them. So I saw a gap in the market, and we said, let's take advantage of this gap and start providing what is not there. So my goal for Premier Foods is that when people think about local chicken in Malawi, they should think about us. The way people think about CP when they're thinking about broilers, I want us to be the one that they think about when they think about local chickens.
That's a very good move. And also, I'm so fascinated with how you have been able to move so fast in terms of creating synergies with the distributors, like getting your product in outlets where there's like so many people that visit them? How have you been able to do that? For example, you know, there's so many people that are doing farming, but they just do it at a very small, like in just in your neighborhood. Yes, you start from somewhere, but people have been selling chickens in their neighborhood for years upon years. How can they move on to the next level so that they see a growth in their business?
I don't want to take the credit for that. I would like to thank Annabelle Binganjira and Fanuel Kuluza, they of Ekaya Products, because when they were opening, they wanted to have an offering that was not readily available. Just like I was looking at giving products that are not readily available on the market. So they came to me and asked me, Rose, you're doing local chickens. I was also doing local chickens at a small scale. Can you supply us? I said, how many would you want? And at that moment, they only had one shop and they told me 40 a week. And 40 a week was a tall order. And you know, with local chickens, they take months to grow. So they told me, we need you to start scaling up so that as we're scaling up the shops, you should also be scaling up to be able to provide the local chickens to us. So I think it was just grace that they located me and partnered with me. But what I've done is I've also partnered with other women in poultry. So the chickens I supply mostly, but for the quails and the goats, I also get from other women that are doing that. So I've got other women that I've partnered with that are also supplying the supermarkets through me. I have also supplied to food lovers, but that relationship didn't work very well. So I only supplied them once and I haven't supplied them again. But I'm sure if people would take a step and approach the shops, most of them will be willing to take their product.
Okay. Very, very good insight. And also, I know that you are an avid, like, financial person. Like, you love empowering people about financial management. If somebody was to come to you and they know nothing about financial management, what would you say to them? Where do they start?
I love doing that. I've taught hundreds of women over the years, even the time that I was working with press. So I would create WhatsApp group and teach women especially about financial issues, because I know that a lot of women do business, but they don't understand finance. And if you don't understand finance, doing business really is a hassle. So what I would tell them is I would teach finance in a layman's language. So I would take everyone from where they are. You know, I am friends with the women at Planta Market, and we would chat about finance and they would understand things that they didn't understand before. But I would not put words like profit and loss and balance sheet. So I would talk to anyone at the level that they are at. For women that are in business, I would say that they need to record all the sales that they've made. Record them, keep a record of that, and also record your expenses. Every money that you're taking out of business, you should record it. Even if you're giving it to your son, record it. And then from there, you'll be able to now produce your financials from there. So I'm passionate about it, but I'll take everyone from where they are. I've also worked with women that were heavily burdened with loans and some of them even caterpillar on how to get out of a situation like that. Most of this work, I do it pro bono, but now I want to do consulting on a full-time basis on issues of finance, personal finance, as well as retirement planning. A lot of people get destitute when they leave employment because we are not a saving people. We don't save. As a result, most people, when they're going into retirement, they're destitute. And a lot of people die earlier than they would have because they did not plan for their retirement. properly. So I'm passionate about that as well, that I want to be talking to people about planning for your retirement. So for finances, I talk to everyone at the level where they're at. And people can approach me about that. Then we'll look at their situation and individually look at how we can deal with that. But to talk for me to say that's a subject of another day to go into finance for non-finance people, yeah. But it's something that you just look at the situation and you talk to people based on where they are at.
Yeah. Okay. Very well said. And just back to the poultry business, I just want you to touch on how you run a successful poultry business. What are the tips that you can give on how people should be running a successful poultry business?
Okay.
I see that your prices are, you know how sometimes people are doing businesses and they just price things because everyone else prices like that. What would you say? I see your approach is different.
Okay. For you to run a successful poultry business, you have to look at your costs. Really, it's your cost that matters. And for a lot of people, you have to learn how to make feed for your chickens, whether it's organic or inorganic feed, but you have to make sure that you learn how to make it. Because if you're buying commercially made feed, your profit margins are very thin. And with very thin profit margins, you're not able to grow. But if you're making your own feed, you at least increase your profit margins a little bit. It's an industry that the profit margins are not good already. They are very thin. So you have to work on your volumes to make sure that your volumes grow. But with poultry, it's about making sure that your farm is protected from diseases so that your chickens don't get sick and die. When you lose your chickens, most people lose interest in poultry business. So you have to make sure that you're following all the hygiene procedures. You have to make sure that your chickens are getting their vitamins, they're getting everything that they need so that they stay strong and they don't die on you. And then also you have to have your market ready. Don't just grow chickens when you don't have a market. Make sure that your market is ready and you're growing the chickens knowing that when these chickens are grown, this is the market that I'll target. Like now, you've seen my adverts all over Facebook, all over WhatsApp groups, because I had raised a lot of chickens ready for Christmas season. So now I'm targeting people that I can deliver directly into their homes. If you're in Blantyre and you'd like to have local chicken and your purchase is more than 4 chickens, I'm willing to come and deliver the chickens to your house. So you have to have your market ready so that when your chickens are ready, then you're also ready to sell. But also, if you have limited capital, then local chicken is not the product for you to go for. When you've got limited capital, it's better to go into broilers because within 6 weeks they are grown and you can sell them. Whereas local chicken will take 6 months to grow. So that means you have to take care of them for 6 months before you can grow them. But there are also other poultry products that you can do, like quails. They also take 6 weeks to grow. You can grow them, and these ones, they require very little space for you to grow them. And then you've got guinea fowl. I have them also. And these ones, they are very resistant to diseases. You can grow them in your backyard. They make a lot of noise, but you can grow them in your backyard. And then you'll be able to sell them when they are grown. For those that can't afford feed, then the free range chicken is a way to go, but you reduce the numbers and allow them to go free range. Then after 6 months, they will be grown. Sometimes because they're free range, they'll go up to 8 months, then you'll be able to sell your product. So it's about managing your cost and making sure that you're protecting your chickens from diseases. So don't just allow people to come into your farm anyhow, but restrict movement so that your chickens don't get sick.
Okay. So good. Thank you so much for that. And as we're winding up the show, I'm interested to find out who inspires you and why? Do you have somebody that inspires you and why?
Okay. I've got two people actually that inspires me. The first one is my mom. My mom has been my greatest inspiration. I lost my dad when I was 14 years old, and my mom had a 6-year-old, and our last born was 6 at that time. And the way she pulled herself out of that situation and made up her mind that she was going to raise us. So she raised all of us through up to university. Everybody graduated, everybody is independent and doing their own thing. So she's been my greatest inspiration. And when I lost my job, I remember hearing her voice, because there was a time that she told me, don't fall in love with your job, because when it falls out of love with you, you're not going to be able to survive. So love your job, do the best that you can do in your job, but don't fall in love with it. Because when you fall in love with it, it can fall out of love with you anytime. Then you will not be able to deal with that. So she's been the voice of wisdom in my life from the time I was very young. She didn't have a lot, but she made sure she gave me her best, and that she's a great inspiration. The other one is my husband. He's been my pillar and he's been an inspiration. Like me, also, he was lucky that his career moved up when he was very young. And looking at him and seeing the transition that he has gone through also has really been an inspiration, and seeing him grow and become a business exec, running one of the biggest banks in the country. He has been my other inspiration.
So good, so good. And do you have a favorite book?
Yes. Who moved my cheese?
Share it with us.
Who moved my cheese? It's a very small book.
Yeah.
And I've loved that book from a long time ago. People will think that I'm loving it because of the transition, but my boss then, Mr. Ricky White, gave me that book, and he said, "No, you know what, Rose? I'm giving you this book, but you'll read it now, but you'll not understand. What I'll ask you is, once a year, read this book." So I would read it over and over again. And every time it will give me a different meaning. So this time around when I was reading it, I actually saw that my cheese had been moving, and I was sitting in my corporate office there, not seeing that the cheese had been moving. So those that can manage to read that book, read it. It's a very small book. You can read it in an hour and finish. But the message that it gives, it's very good. The second book is The Richest Man in Babylon. It's also a very small book, but it's taught me a lot about finance. You can get a whole EMBA teaching in The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that book as well. I read it over and over again. Like, first lesson, start your pace fattening, right? Okay. And your final words, any final advice that you have to our audience, and yeah, your final words, please.
Yeah, I just want to thank God for all the opportunities that I've had in my life. I have had a very smooth ride, I would say. Even up to now, I'm still having it smooth, because I know that the Lord has been with me. He's been on my side throughout. You can imagine I was a widow's child, finished university, and 2 years down the line, financial controller for a blue chip company. And then my move to corporate office, when Elisa Mafeni told me that I want you to move and join me in corporate office, that was also another aha moment for me. And even the recent change to entrepreneurship, it's opened up my eyes, and I'm seeing the hand of God in everything that I'm doing. Then my children have been great. Sometimes they'll say, "Mom, are you going to go to the office?" No, 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 no. She's a farmer now. She doesn't go to the office. And those little moments with them has been an inspiration. So I want to thank God. I want to thank my husband and my mom and my sisters, my friends. If you're watching, you know who you are. I'm coming to join you for lunch as I had promised. And thank you very much. And thank you, Irene, for giving me the platform so that I can talk about my business to people. And also, everyone who's watching, I'm waiting for your orders. You've seen my advert, and I think Irene will put it on her status as well, so that you can send me your orders for Christmas. Eat organic chicken from us, and support the local business. Thank you.
Yes, surely we are going to support you, and it has been such a pleasure to have you on this show, and you are such an inspiration to so many women. And I thought it was very important that we bring you on this show and we talk about how you've handled this pivot in your life, and you actually sense, there's just an amazing positive energy about you, and it's something that, as all of us as young women, as people that are in corporate and people that are in business, we are inspired by you, and we know that you're going to come out strong even on this side of life. Thank you so much for all the insights that you've shared with us, and we hope for the best, and we wish you the best in your life going forward. Thank you, Rose, for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right,
Thank you for
guys.
watching.
Thank you. That's a wrap. I'll see you again next week with another guest on the Nditha Mindset Show. This is Irene Pato. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.